think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, what happened? I'm here. Who wanted to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Our goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Man, it's a good day to talk boxing, man. Great day to talk boxing. We had a lot of things go on this weekend. I'm appreciative of everybody that's in the building. Easily Baked, Bodywork, salute, Cookie Monster, Bodywork. I appreciate you. I really do. But as always, man, you know gaslighting is at an all-time high. We're in the era where hindsight is 2020, so a lot of people are coming out now in hindsight. And I'm gonna start off with a little bit of housekeeping or house cleaning, shall I say, and then I'm gonna wrap up some things and give a little snapshot of what happened this weekend from Friday all the way up into some news that broke here recently, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the program. Cookie Monster, mic check, 1 2 1 2, sounding like a finely tuned piano. I appreciate that, man. You know, I didn't want to do the visual because I seen that it's always a delay, and then I didn't want to mess with the visual not being there and be distracted. Everybody know what I look like. I could turn the camera on at any time. It's just StreamYard been giving me a hard time, and I've put in so many tickets to try to fix it. I think I know what the problem is with the visual, but even when I got the visual fixed and I was able to be seen, the last one I did, it was a delay. So I said, look, I'm just going to be faceless. You know, it's not a faceless channel. People know what I look like, and that's not really important right now. And the important is y'all going to get this body work, you know. Let me start off with the housekeeping and some weekend reviews. We came out last week. We gave a thorough analysis of what was going to happen between young kid Scoffield and Tevin Farmer. You know, I was saying that it was a possible upset alert. I was saying that, you know, with all of the talks that Kid Austin had been doing, him and his father, a lot of things that he was saying, and you know, the pullouts and all of that stuff, that we kind of tired of all that talking, all that yipping and all that yapping. Need you to get in that ring and start scrapping, you know, it's to justify it. And I reasoned that, hey, we like to talk about these boxing dads, and I separated the Normans because I'm like, look, his father was senior was a fighter, and Norman actually, his performances back it up, but Norman don't really be talking that cash money like his father. But I said, man, it's different when you getting in the ring and you backing it up. Well, young Sko got in the ring and backed it up. He did his thing, you know. He went out there and stopped Tevin Farmer in emphatic fashion. And the first red sign, the red flag that I seen was when Tevin Farmer missed weight. I came out and did a post. I said all of my predictions are voided. You know, I said it could mean something. It could mean nothing. But sometimes when somebody miss weight like that, even though it wasn't like a 4.3 pounds and all that stuff, he didn't go he didn't pull a Ryan or a Keyshawn, you know, he was just over. And I said, look, I'm voiding my predictions, man. I don't understand how these guys get paid millions of dollars and then miss weight. But a lot of times when a fighter miss weight, it indicates certain other things like a lack of focus or something was off or whatever, because you got all of this time from the time that you signed that contract, and you know all of them ducats are going to hit that bank account up until when you got to weigh in and you miss. So I said, all predictions are null and voided. And me, I'm a guy that can say, listen, that's what we wanted to see from Floyd Scoffield. That's exactly what we wanted to see. We was getting tired of all of that talking, man. All of that yipping and all that yapping, man. We wanted to see you put all of that potential energy into kinetic action. And he did that in emphatic fashion. You know, so I salute, I tip my hat. He got out there, he called out Shakur. And, you know, all the haters could do was actually, he get out there, he called out Shakur, and all the haters could do was bring up Tank. I was like, man, boxing is getting so weird. It's so crazy. You got this old ass man that's like, I noticed that this is all this old ass man do. All this old ass man do is he get out here, and for the last 3 fights, we all had our fair share of criticisms of them all, but for the last 3 fights, and I only talk about it because, man, you are actually ruining the minds of certain people that listen and follow, man. I think that there's a responsibility. When you got a certain amount of people watching and listening to you, I believe personally, that's why it's silence is consent, which means you got to speak to things, right? But I believe you got a bigger responsibility the more people that follow you, because you could be leading people down the wrong path. And this is what this dude do. His old hating ass, every time one of these young fighters get out there and do their thing because of preference in politics, he hates on them. Floyd Scoffield is the most recent example where the man, it's no criticism to be had about that performance. Yeah, I mean, we had our thoughts and ideas about what happened over there in Saudi, and yes, we were upset that he didn't get to fight Shakur. We all was. We all talked smack about it. We all said Senior Sco, whatever his name is, the one with the long dreads, the father. We all said he need to sit back and relax. Let his son do the talking. Let him get out in front. Let him be seen. And he did a little bit of that. And then even in that, he had to insert himself and say his son is the best fighter in the world. Well, guess what? They get some time to have some bragging rights for what they did to Tevin Farmer, being who Tevin Farmer is. They get that. But I noticed with this old ass man, all he did was he just shitted on Schofield, said that Tevin Farmer, he ain't this and he ain't that. But this the thing, it wasn't just with Tevin Farmer. Because when Brian Norman did it, he said, oh man, Jen Sasaki, he wasn't this, he wasn't that. And then when Richardson Hitchens went out there and stopped Kambosos, stopped him with a body shot, put him on his back pockets, he said, oh man, Richardson Hitchens, he need to stop talking, and Kambosos ain't this and that. That's just like, man, some people you would never make happy. And some people do make a living on just tearing boxers down. Now, if you have a solid foundation on a point that you have, or you making it and you going somewhere and you got, but it's nothing like that. He's just a parrot. He's just a parrot. You know what I'm saying? So Schofield, he got in the win column with a devastating, eye-opening, mind-blowing performance. You know, me and AC were talking about Schofield, and we said, man, in the first couple rounds, the dude is crispy as a mudguay. You know, he's crispy in the first couple rounds. So he got out there and put the boom ping pow, had Tevin Farmer not looking right. I think Tevin Farmer need to go take some time out, you know, enjoy the spoils of his labor, and, you know, have a vacation, you know, reevaluate, you know, what's going on, because he has been taking on the young. And that's why I saluted him like a Gabe Rosado, because he is getting in there with the young guys. You know, he's getting in there with some young, dangerous, the who's who of the 135, that upcoming, you know, era, or this era right now. He did get in there with Raymond Danger. He got in there with 22 rounds with William Zepeda. And he just got put down and out bad by Floyd Schofield. So although he might not have got the results that he wanted and his family wanted, he did get in there with them guys. He did strap up, sign up, and go in there and, you know, attempt to do his thing. So I hope he recovers, you know, but I want to applaud Schofield because that's all the boxing fans wanted to see. They wanted to see something like that. You know, we wanted to see that potential turn into kinetic, and you did it, you know, in emphatic fashion. So I tip my hat to that young man. Now I'm looking forward to what's next, you know, because once again, just like everything else, your last performance, that's what everybody's looking at. Your last performance. They're going to look at your body at work, but a lot of your sins can be erased with your last performance, and he did that. Moving right along to Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder fought on Friday night. You know, it was a lot of people that, you know, this resurgence of all of the Wilder fans came back out, singing his glowing praises and doing. He wound up getting a stoppage, round 7, and a lot of people are trying to urge or insinuate that this man can run for a title contention and all this. I'm just like, man, y'all don't love Wilder, man. I often compare Wilder fans and Devin fans alike, in which I'm not the biggest fans of them all, but I'll probably say that I'm bigger fans than most of their fans because they be encouraging these guys to do some crazy stuff. You know, I don't understand why. You know, well, I actually do. I do understand why, because they can monetize off these guys. You know, I think Deontay Wilder really need to reevaluate where he's at and what he plan on doing, because unlike Devin, you know what I'm saying, Devin is down at he's in the glamour division now, 147. Wilder's in the heavyweight division, right? And with the damage that he sustained and all of that, the money he's made and all of that, man, it's like at some point in time, you got to kind of be real and tell yourself, man, it's what you got to know when to hold him and when to fold him is what the saying goes. But I found it real funny because there was a facade of Deontay Wilder, man, that a lot of people are not going to admit. A lot of people didn't admit it in real time. And Leo, yeah, that's why, because Wilder fans and Devin fans are the same. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And Cokie, salute Leon D, 31, and salute Cokie, Bodywork. But there was a facade of Deontay Wilder, right? Now I'm gonna break this down, and this is why I'm doing this segment tonight, and y'all gonna understand it. Be patient, you know, because there are a lot of jewels that's gonna be inside of this mix, you know. There was a conversation on TBV, right? And this epitomized. The only reason why I'm using this is this because this is what I'll be epitomizing all the time when it comes to boxing conversations, and how it can be better, or how a lot of the things that we do and say and all of the arguments we have, how we can relieve ourselves of these stressful type conversations, man. It should be cool. It should be like, if you disagree, you state your point, we duke it out, you know, whether we sparring or we got a full-on debate. You say your point, I make my point, you justify yours, I counter, you counter, we'll come to a conclusion. We might walk away agreeing to disagree, but we have productive dialogue. I heard a conversation with a caller called in, and this epitomizes what I be trying to say that's going on right now in the present day of boxing talk. It happens all the time. The gaslighting. I'm gonna paint a picture. Guy calls in and say, listen, man, y'all trying to push Wilder to try to be a champ, right? And I would never discourage a guy from trying to become a champ. I stated my reason when it comes to Wilder as to why I'm like, look, man, they say you was an overachiever, right? You in a very dangerous division. I know you want to go out on your shield, but had Breland not thrown in that towel at that point in time, man, we don't know what will happen. We've seen boxers walk away stuttering and not being able to tie their own shoes, not be able to wipe themselves, feed themselves, you know, having CTE, you know, on all these things. You in a heavyweight division to where if they amp you up and they put you in there with one of these guys, they are some young, hungry KILLAs out here that is not going to hesitate to pull that trigger. Think about what you're doing. But what this guy was saying, listen, if you believe, if a lot, he was saying, look, a lot of y'all are trying to sit up here and edge Deontay Wilder to try to go for another championship again and all this. He was saying basically he need to stay at this level, still get your money, still have some fights, but stay at this level. Basically, the club level guys, go on your tour, see the people and the fans across the world that pretty much love you and want to see you fight again and don't want you to hang it up while you can do it with a level of there's really no level of security, but with a lowered risk is how I'm putting it, right? If I were to translate what this guy is saying, right? And what people fail to realize is that in real time, a lot of people were advocates of Wilder because of the power. They like the knockout. They know that he had dynamite in that right hand. I once did a thumbnail when I put him in my Boxes to Watch collection, and he was called the Equalizer because that's what he really had. He could be getting outboxed, he could be getting his head boxed off, but if you allow him to get the leverage and land that right hand, boom, it's over. He spiked many of men, right? But when the guy was actually talking, right, the host was basically arguing back and forth. I guess he was trying to keep the show going, doing what he do, pushing the envelope. The guy was saying, listen, man, he broke it down. He said, listen, at the time when we were going for Wilder, he said, we all knew that Wilder wasn't who everybody was making him out to be. We knew that he had power. You know what I'm saying? God-given, universe-given power, if you want to put it like that. We all knew that he had that. He said, but let's be honest. He said, really what was going on was there was another guy across the pond in AJ, and there was a rivalry between the U.S. fans and the UK fans. He said, so being tribal as we are, which is a key word in today's conversation, being tribal as we all are, we were really debating back to go against what was going on across the pond. He said, of course we wasn't going to say that the guy across the pond was better than our guy. And it was at that point in time, a lot of AJ was pretty much perceived as, one of them guys that was on top. He sells out, he makes money. A lot of people from over there was on him. He also had his knockout thing going. Nobody ever thought that he had the knockout power like Wilder. He probably had more boxing skills, but he was that guy across the pond. So it was a built-in rivalry. And that's what everybody was feeding on at the time when they were calling in, going back and forth. He said, but he said, we knew what it was. It was UK against US. It was Team Wilder against Team AJ. He said, but, in real time, he said, I used to get crucified when I used to say that I didn't like him firing Mark Breland, making that decision. Who Mark Breland was like arguably one of the greatest amateur boxers, that we've had in history. And then hiring Malik Scott, who he had knocked out before, right? Not agreeing with how Malik Scott was coaching him, doing all this philosophical stuff, having him do all these silly drills and stuff like that. The fact that Wilder wasn't training the way, like, it'd be time when JD say, hey man, we would tell Mark Breland, hey man, don't make Wilder run. Today he don't feel like running. Just let him, didn't like hitting the pads, didn't like running, stuff like that, like doing road work, just doing what it would take, not making the adjustments, falling in love with his power, things like that. So people weren't honest in real time. They were actually being gaslit in real time, only to come out and tell you the truth in hindsight. It's almost like them conspiracies that people be talking about. Oh man, that's just a conspiracy. It's like, it's not really a conspiracy. It's happening in real time. Some people be saying it in real time as to what's going on, only for it to happen, like to come out years later about what really happened. You know, it happens. I can give you a lot of different illustrations, and it's like, man, we knew it the whole time. So I find it funny how people are now telling the truth and saying, nah, listen, man, he need to stay club level, man. He can't mess with none of the top 10 heavyweights right now. Just stay on this tour where you getting these club guys, right? Because he also said something I said when I said, man, this is to be the perfect thing with speed versus power. Now, this is after Andy Ruiz had lost, after AJ had came back, avenged himself, and took his titles back. This was after that, but it was a moment in time where there should have been a fight when they still had, like, before it was really known whether or not they both had the juice. I think the verdict is kind of out on Andy Ruiz because he has been totally inactive. You know, Deontay Wilder has suffered a lot of wars. But it was a point in time when I was screaming at the top of my lungs, man, we need that fight. And I called the thumbnail Speed Kills. It was Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. He was basically saying that, yeah, we all wanted to see that fight, and that didn't happen. Time goes by, he was a little bit inactive. He get thrown, you know, well, he was in talks for the Ngannou fight, which everybody was for it. But then when Tyson Fury got it, they hated on Tyson Fury for getting it. And then they shitted on AJ when AJ actually knocked him out. When Ngannou arguably beat Tyson Fury. A lot of people had it. I know I scored it to where it's like, yeah, that was the business of boxing because it'll look real bad for a guy from the MMA, UFC to come over here and in his first fight to beat a guy with the history that Tyson Fury had. But they shitted on AJ when he knocked him out and stopped him and said the same thing like that dumbass dude who be hating on all the black fighters be saying, oh man, he wasn't nobody, he wasn't this. But when Wilder, when he was signed up or when it was talks for Wilder, everybody was for that fight. It's just like, that's what we do in boxing conversations. You know, but at this point in time, man, I think the truth of the matter is, at the point in time that Wilder was ruling and reigning, it was at a point in time when the heavyweight division wasn't at the stage where it's at now. Right? And if I had to paint a picture, it's almost like when you look at the 160-pound division right now. It's like a lot of people say, oh, that division ripe for the taker. The 160 ain't this and 160 ain't that. Like, people are, 154 is lit. 168 is lit. 160 is like right in the middle where it's like, okay, who's the clear-cut, you know, who's the clear-cut guy at 160? Who knows? Like, that's kind of like how the heavyweight was and at the point in time when he was doing it. Not saying that anybody can go in there and get all them knockouts like that. Not saying that everybody could be in there getting their heads boxed off and then just wind up landing that hand. Like, not saying that just anybody could do that, but if we're going to be honest about that time, that period in time, it was a time where the heavyweight division was not lit. You know, I would love to see it in, you know, in the comment section if you could tell me who else was the rival, who else was the other person or whatever, because a lot of people, especially like Wilder fans or people from over here, would tell you, and AJ ain't shit. Look at what happened with this, and then look at this. Like, they'll just discredit. So if it wasn't AJ and Wilder was doing his thing at that time and they never fought, who else was that guy in the heavyweight division? You can't really point it out. Just like I was saying with 160, you can't pull it out. You know, so I mean, I salute Wilder. I think in that man, maybe, you know, because he used to always brag about how much bread he had and how he could do this, and he got the statue and all that, man. You got everything you needed out of boxing, man. It's just very dangerous, man, and I'm going to put it on wax and say, listen, man, you got to know when to hold him and when to fold him, because I know that guy, Richard Torres, he sparked that guy, I think, like in the first round, and I think F.A. Ajagba sparked him in, like, the second round, if I'm correct. So you in 7 rounds with this guy, and it's not like that guy touched him. Now, I did see, technical-wise, it looked a little bit better. But his claim to fame was the right hand. If it's not as big and as bad as it was, whether it can come back or not, who knows? You know, but I think in club level or, you know what I'm saying, like hanging it up might be the play, man. Quit while you're ahead, because boxing is very dangerous. So that's my piece on Wilder. You know, and how in real time, when people were talking about these things and saying those things, just standing on it, like myself, we were deemed as haters. But like I said all the time, they do this in boxing talk all the time, where in hindsight, they'll come out and tell you what it really is. We're still going through that right now. We're actually still going through that right now. So I wanted to highlight that. Jake Paul, man, is a you know, it's no secret to me now that Jake Paul is a guy that actually fixes fights, man. Like I'm, you know, I mean, bump all of that. Everybody want to ride Turkey. Everybody want to ride Jake Paul. They want it because it's something new. It's glamorous. Like, yeah, was the card lit? I would say for the most part, it was a good card. It was a very good card. I would say the card was lit. But as far as these fights and these guys like Anderson Silva, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how many, like the 20-degree black belt to go down the way he did. All these questionable performances where people just forget how to throw punches, how to let their hands go, how and what to do when it was like second nature, because they've been boxing forever. They come from boxing lineage. For them not to be able to do it, it got to be some kind of clause. It got to be some shit in there to where, you know, you can't knock them out. You can't. So I'm like, I don't subscribe to it. Man. I'm not with the novelty boxing. That's why, you know, one of the things that I really don't like is the rumors that Tank was gonna fight the man. And I'm one of the biggest Tank fans on the planet. I do not want to. I like what he do for women's boxing. I like some of the people that I see on the undercard and some of the fights that was made. I actually do. But as far as this novelty boxing and the suspiciousness of how fixed these fights be looking, it were like the Tyson stuff where he did, where he, you know, you could clearly see he was pulling punches. You know, with this Chavez fight, you could clearly see that man was pulling punches, man. It's like, but we want to live in that. It's like, I think I gave this analogy before. It's like on the Matrix, man, when you see the one guy, he say, man, I know this isn't steak, but it tastes so good. It's like, yeah, this shit tastes so good. You know, yeah, it's a big card. Yeah, it was a lot of things that happened, but nah, I'm not a fan. I do think that he'll be an excellent promoter. I think that that's probably more of his calling. And I hope one day, I wish he would go back and book it with Hakeem Rahman Jr. I think Hakeem Rahman, it was a reason why he didn't spin the block and try to get Hakeem Rahman in there. And it's a reason why he flirted with the aspect of fighting somebody like Zerto. But the guy Zerto or Dorticos, I bet you he wouldn't get in the ring with neither one of them. And I'm not even a big fan of Zerto. You know, he actually edged it out. I thought Dorticos had his moments. But let's start heading more towards the direction in which I'm going with this whole conversation. Julian Rodriguez, Hammerhands, was up against Avius Griffin, the underdog. And what's funny about this is the guy Hammerhands was basically saying that in the press conference they were talking smack, and Jake Paul was like, he's like, I'm promoting this fight and I don't even know you. I'm promoting this fight and I don't even know you. I'm like, okay. So the fight's going on, and from what I saw, I gave round one to Avius Griffin. Maybe because I was pulling for him. You know, I'm not sure. I would have to go back and watch round one. But when I really started like watching the fight, you know, the more and more I was looking, I said, "Oh man, this is getting ready to be kind of interesting." The first thing I said was the hair issue, man. When you got that kind of hair and you got that hindsight where you can't lock it down or pin it down or nothing, man, the hair is a distraction. It's a wardrobe malfunction, and it's a disaster waiting to happen. Round two, I gave to JR. So I'm going to say JR for Julian Rodriguez. I'm going to say AG for Avius Griffin. Round two, I gave to JR. Round three, I gave to JR because he buckled AG. And he had a good round. Round four, I gave to Avius Griffin. He buckled JR in round four. In round five, I think Avius Griffin was doing okay, But I think the activity in the last like 30 seconds that JR did, because it wasn't a lot of activity. It was a lot of posing. It was a lot of trying to get in position to land the right hand or whatever. In round 5, I said that JR may have stolen the round because of the last 30 minutes of activity, because it wasn't really a dominant round by Avius anyway. You know, he kind of just did more. He just did more than what he did in the last round. JR did more than what he did in the last round when Avius Griffin had buckled him. And in round 6, JR started piecing up Avius Griffin. And then in round 7, I gave that round to JR as well. In round 8, Avius Griffin dropped JR. So I thought that, I said, okay, the tides might be turning. They might be turning now. In round 9, JR buckled Avius Griffin. And then in round 10, he knocked Buddy out, man. Had him on the ropes. It was kind of scary because he laid there for a couple seconds and it was a wrap. He got up, couldn't even, gather himself for a second, man. It was ugly, man. And I was pulling for him because I have been watching on social media. I've been seeing him. I mean, he was giving off all the signs and indicators that he was going to be a star because of, how flashy he is and how thorough he is and how he talk and how he carry himself. He has the image. He has all of that. He has the whole backing of B&B. He's all of that in a bag of chips, according to how he, put himself. And then his record showed. I think it was like 18-0 with 17 knockouts, something like that. But the guy, Hammerhands, had said that he had a padded record and that he was going to know who, he said that Jake Paul was going to know who he was after that fight. Well, what are you getting at, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? It's about time, man, where we actually got to call it how it is, man. We're not going to wait. We're not going to sit around and wait until hindsight. We're not going to wait until, months now, a year from now, and start saying what's really going on, man. We got to start asking ourselves, is B&B, are they overrated, man? Are they overrated? And it's funny because I had a conversation with some people. It was around Thanksgiving time. It was around Thanksgiving, and I was basically saying, man, like I was asking them a real question because I'm just a real genuine person. I said, is B&B really that good? Or are they the benefit of having fighters with a great stock? Are they that good, or are they just benefactors of having fighters with a great stock? You can tell that Bud is a special fighter. Like Bud, they had built him from scratch. He was with him from scratch. So you could say that, yes, they implemented something in him. And that was there, because every gym have that special one. So for the Rise and them, for the Rise and for Upton Gym, that special one was Tank. From scratch, they have that star. So all of these gyms, so from scratch, all of these gyms actually have that star, from scratch, right? But I was asking this question, and the group of people I was actually talking to at the time, they get easily offended. But I was saying, no, listen, hear me out. What I'm saying is, we already know that a lot of these guys, especially when you have an affiliation with Top Rank, and you're getting a lot of these guys they already have some level of stardom. I.e. Keyshawn Davis. It's like he was already at his essence, at his core, who he was when they got him. Right? Because you gotta think, he had already went to the Olympics. He turned pro. I think he was messing around with Eddie and them. Then he went back to the Olympics. He lost to Andy Cruz. Then he came back. He working with B&B. He was already who he was at his core already. So I'm saying, with the exception of Lester Martinez, Keyshawn Davis, and Terrence Bud Crawford, are these guys overrated? Because what I do know is about these guys and B&B, they love to talk a lot of shit. Like, nobody else can get, they don't like giving credit to nobody else. Everybody ain't shit. Like when Richardson Hitchens came out and did his thing, oh man, he still ain't shit. Even when Kid Scoffield came out and did his thing, oh man, he still ain't shit, man. If you think just moving the goalposts, and that's one thing I don't like. If you can't give nobody else credit for the things that they actually do good, like, and these guys still would tell you that Earl still ain't shit, which I'm like is the dumbest shit in the world, because that's Bud's biggest win. So one is the mindset. We're seeing a lot of that with Avis Griffin talking to this dude. I'm like, man, hopefully he about to spark this dude. He about to do this. He about to do that. But when them big bright lights came on, it was a lot of bad technique, man. Wild swinging, the hair malfunction. Even before Antonio Tarver, I was just telling my lady, I said, man, you could tell when Avis getting ready to throw that right. And then like 2 rounds later, Antonio Tarver like, yeah, man, you can see, man, he just keep trying to load up for that right. It was like telltale signs. I'm like, well, if I know that, I know Julian know that. Wild, standing tall, chin up in the air. I don't know how many times Antonio Tarver said that. And then when I'm listening to Bomac giving him instruction, he's basically saying, man, you got to use your jab. You got to jab. Fight off the jab, which I'm like, yeah. Antonio Tarver was saying the same thing. And I heard him tell him, basically throw the jab to the chest level to set up everything. He's like, we got to set up everything. That's about the only thing I seen. And then we heard the infamous, we need this round. Or he may have got that round, man. Listen, he may have got that round. Bottom line is, since that was a Jake Paul fighter, they was getting ready to rob that dude, Julian. If he had not got that verdict at the end, they was getting ready to rob the shit out of him. Because of the scorecards. They had it locked up even going into the 10th round. And I was like, how, Sway? But from the technique, and then, because I was seeing the posts and the Instagrams and him training with Keyshawn and Bernie and all of them guys, that whole clique that they got over there, looking like superstars, acting like it, talking it, having all of the swag and all of this and all of that. But I'm asking, are they overrated? Because I can go back to 3 times this year with the So Cold and Pacheco had to deal with these guys as being not calling and judging boxing for what it is, like a comprehensive outlook leading up into the fight. Just a bunch of sausage eating, a bunch of sausage party, like hot dog. You go to the cookout and all it is beanie weenies, footlongs, polar sausages, like Slim Jims. That's why I don't like talking it with them no more. I really don't. Because it's a bias there. It's like, man, and maybe that's why, because level heads prevail, man. Being real and pulling somebody's coattail and not just being yes man is something that we should start doing. Because the So-Cold versus Pacheco had to talk it out, duke it out, hash it out, had to go through all these back and forth just because people just wanted to have a sausage party. It's like, no, man, we're looking at the skill set. We're trying to ask, okay, how is this going to get done? And even though So-Cold put up a valiant effort, it was supposed to be, oh no, man, he gonna expose Pacheco, and because he ain't, he ain't this, he telling me, I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, cool. So they ain't get the best end of that. The next big fight was Keyshawn going, bringing it back at home over there in VA. Keyshawn had a meltdown. Not only because you can't say that the trainers and them didn't know this. You can't say that on a day of, like, they just decide, oh yeah, and you're that far over 4.3, and that was not intentional. No, that was a calculation, a grave miscalculation thinking that because that man wasn't, was just gonna take the bread because he needed the money, that he was just gonna go and go with the fight. But they knew damn well Keyshawn was like too big, like he wasn't cutting the weight, he wasn't doing all that. Who do we put that on? Who do we put that on? Because when people like Derrick James lose, just last week when Truck Simpson lost, Coach Kenny, Coach Calvin, they gotta take the grunt of that. Derrick James, he gotta take the grunt of that, whatever they say. Like when Frank Martin wasn't listening, when Earl Spence wasn't listening, when Jamel Charlo wasn't listening, Ryan Garcia, when he wasn't listening, they shat all over Derrick James. They be shitting on Coach Calvin and them all the time. Let one of Robert Garcia fighters fight. No, we gotta start putting the blame and having real conversations in real time. So we had the so-called incident this year. We had the Keyshawn Davis meltdown this year, even though they did a good job with Keon. He did his thing. Body shot, had my man crawling across the ring on all fours. But Kelvin, they've been training with Kelvin and teaching him and giving him the adjustments against a guy who they already had the background. They already knew his forte. They knew his MO. They knew his style. Why? Because he gave Keyshawn a hard time and went the distance with him. So cold. Keyshawn meltdown. Kelvin get pieced up. And now you have Avius Griffin get knocked out. But I was a hater when I was saying, man, listen, man, like, because I'm trying to evaluate. Because I try to give everybody a fair shake. I try not to point fingers and try to point aim and try to say this ain't this and that ain't this or whatever like that, right? I try to do that. But when I use the other people, because I always use this thing, if the shoe was on the other foot, what would the conversation be? But I see a lot of people being quiet. A lot of people won't address the elephant in the room. And I'm thinking, man, hey, listen, man, it's this fight that they keep saying is going to happen, and we'll see. We'll see. It's this fight with Canelo and Bud coming up. Man. And that'll be, I just named 4 situations, 3 debacles, and I give So Cold for the good fight, man. He fought a great fight. That was like the one that was, I just named 4 situations where they were in the corner, where if that was any other team, any other set of coaches, like Coach Calvin and them, like Derrick James, even if Robert Garcia and them guys was doing it, because why? We have these conversations and they do that. Are these guys overrated? Can we keep it a buck? And what would happen? Like, what would happen, man? What's going to happen if Canelo Alvarez do the unthinkable to Bud? Because remember, Earl ain't shit. Remember, Earl wasn't shit. And they still drawing back from Gamboa and Postal. So this is really Bud's time to shine. This is his claim to fame. This is when he's either going to silence all the critics, or they're going to do the same thing that my man did on TBV when he came out in hindsight and told the real deal about who Wilder was the whole time. And what they were really thinking and why they were pushing the envelope, because they were rivals of another fighter that they didn't like. I don't know, man. I call Bud the closer. There hasn't been a time when he's been in a situation where he really had to turn up and dig deep. I think that he do be on some Highlander shit. I think he really do have that. I'm a predator. Like when the shit hit the fan and it's on, I'm going to turn up and I'm going to do what I need to do. I really do think that he got that in his blood. I think that that's him as a fighter. I think that regardless who was coaching him and doing that, I think that's like something that's inside of Bud for how he was raised, from everything I've been seeing. So I don't know what's going to happen when Canelo fight Bud. I honestly don't. But I know that with the Lester Martinez guy, I know I don't think that they had him from scratch. They didn't have Keyshawn Davis from scratch. And he's been the benefit of being highly, like, match made. Match made. We just seen that. I guess Avis Griffin was a benefit of being match made. I don't have nothing bad to say about So Cold. I actually like him, man. I actually like So Cold, man. But that's the truth, man. Like, that's really real. And I want to know, man, can we say that? Can we? I think so, man. I think slightly, man. I think that, you know, it's been part of the stock. It's like what they've been given to work with. Like, they get, you know, I know they do a lot of things for the youth and all that, which is great. It's wonderful. I think every community should have a gym, and if they the hallmark in that area for the youth, that's great. That's wonderful. I'm talking about on a professional level, keeping everything subjective and being just like how they are. Just like how they are, because it's crazy. I ain't seen no videos. I ain't seen no videos all day. I ain't seen none after last night. I ain't seen no videos about this. But they always dragging down and tearing down somebody else. Shitting on somebody else, talking shit to everybody else. Like, I ain't seen no videos. Oh, we gonna hindsight, it's 2020 this shit. We're not gonna keep the same energy that we do for everybody else. How y'all always got something bad, something negative, something disrespectful to everybody else. I ain't seen no videos. I ain't see none. I ain't see nobody in the mess hall with their chest out. I ain't hear nothing. I ain't see nothing. I ain't nothing. I ain't see Bernie. I ain't, you know, all that trash. How you be just disrespecting people and their resumes and this, like, come on, man. I ain't see nothing. Nunca, nil, zilch, nada. So I would say, man, my message is this, man. Focus up, man. Put everything you need to in Bud. Make sure he focused. I think now is probably the time to stop being on the media tour, stop being out there, man. Make sure that everything is locked in tight in the gym, focused, prepared, training the way it need to be and everything, because, man, I'm telling you, boy, because they already doing it in these conversations with Bud. They already doing it in the conversation with Bud and Canelo right now. People are really being really serious about what they really feel about Bud and how they've been glazing over situations and giving them a pass for all this, but people are starting to show their true colors. And if the verdict of that fight isn't favorable to this team, oh man, y'all think Wilder's getting it bad right now for them actually seeing who he is, what they are, and being honest about now? It's gonna be way worse. It's gonna be way worse. Salute, AC. AC said Bodywork, but yeah, I ain't seeing here no videos. I ain't seeing here no videos, but people love saying, "Oh man, you sound like a Tank fan." Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I hear people say, "Oh man, you must be an Earl sexual." No, I'm not, but I'm an Earl fan. I like all of these guys, man. And it's just something that's happening in these boxing conversations where it's crazy, where you sit around the water cooler and you talk, and you want to skim around every goddamn thing that pertaining to all the people that regard, especially when it's not something that looks so good. Not something that's so flattering to you. You can talk about that shit for hours, but it's not one peep. It's not one peep about this. Yeah, so I'm like, why? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, man, I don't like it, man. And I'm really doing this, man, because this is an integrity type channel, man. I'm gonna tell, like, listen, I do body work, man. I'm really doing this because I like to put stakes in the ground, and I think that there needs to be a shift in the conversation, man. I actually cannot stand going to these channels, right? I can't stand going to these channels where there are nothing but groupies there. There are nothing but, and if you say anything, any kind of inkling of the truth, you're hating. Like, that's like one of my biggest pet peeves. I'm gonna give you another example. It was just announced. That Devin Haney is going to fight Brian Norman in November, right? I'm treading lightly on it because it's one of these things that is still, to me, in my heart of hearts, it's just still, to me, it sounds way too good to be true. It sounds way too good to be true. But I'm saluting Devin Haney right now if that is true. And the fight gets across the finish line, because we were salivating over a kid, Austin, and a Shakur. We salivated over that fight. We wanted to see it. It never crossed the finish line. Never crossed. We were salivating over another fight, ironically in the welterweight division, with Brian Norman and Boots. And it didn't happen. Why? Because Boots moved up. But guess what? That whole camp, all of them people up there in Philly, guess who they still talking about? They still talking about Brian Norman. And that's what I be trying to say about groupies, right? This is what I be trying to tell y'all about these groupie channels, like, right? See, I try to give everybody a fair shake. I give them an honest assessment. I have my people that I like. I have my picks. Sometimes I'm wrong. But for the most part, I'm 80-20. About 80% of the time, I'm right. 20% of the time, yeah, I'm off. But here lately, it's almost like I've been having a crystal ball. And I've had to sit and endure conversations with people and say the unthinkable, say what nobody else is going to say, risk feeling uncomfortable because everybody want to just sit around and eat beanie weenies and franks and footlongs and quarter pounders. And I'm just over here with a plate full of fruits and veggies. Not that Reggie. So I've been calling it down the middle when it comes down to this Boots and Norman thing. And I find it so odd that this fight is announced. So obviously Brian Norman is moving on, and if it is true, Devin Haney has stepped up. He's going to fight at a full-fledged 147. He's going to try to show and prove that he's no longer like he's the same guy, and that he's about legacy, and he's going to take on the boogeyman at 147, because I said that Brian Norman inherited the division, right? But guess what? All of them people up in Philly still talking about how Brian Norman ducked. I'm like, hold on. You announced you was moving up before the fight took place. Like 3 nights before the fight actually took place. You announced you was moving up. When just like 3 weeks prior, Eddie was trying to say, fight me now, Brian Norman. Like, let's sign up now. And that shit didn't happen. But I find it real odd that Brian Norman and them have moved up, but they got to keep doubling down on this conversation about how Brian Norman ducked, or justifying why Boots moved up. That's what I be talking about, groupie behavior. But be having something to say about everybody else all the time. That's that shit I don't like. It's like, move on. Like I said this the other day, I was like, listen, if y'all moved on and y'all are actually happy and y'all cool with him moving on, he got better things to do, bigger fish to fry, yada yada yada, and he ain't, Brian Norman, if y'all want to say he ducked or whatever y'all, however y'all want to look at it, if y'all believe that, but Boots moved up. Focus on Boots at 54. Why are they still talking about the Normans? Because that shit don't sit well. That shit don't sit well with him. It just don't sit right. It's like, well, listen, man, look like not only did y'all didn't have nothing going on, y'all knew, because it also came out that a month prior to that, they said it was already known. They said it was already known that Boots was going to move up, and that he had already put it out there. They said he already known it, and it was already a known fact that he was gonna go like a month ago. So that shows that the shit that Eddie did with that whole fight me now, agree to a fight now, and when the Norman said, no, we can agree verbally, and as soon as my son get his hand raised, the very next day, as early as possible, we can go ahead and set it up to fight later on this year. They said they had already known that. So not only had Boots moved up, and then he came down, he done like 2 or 3 videos talking about, yeah, man, and then he got all the echo chambers out here talking about, yeah, he had been in the division for 10 years and this and this and this. But we were saying that we were rushing Boots when we had said go ahead and move up before. We were rushing Boots. But they still talking about Norman. I'm like, something don't sit well, man. That, you know what that's called? Gaslighting. That's called gaslighting, man. Don't be no hindsight is 2020 is. Don't wait till after the fact. Don't sit up here and just ride the coattails and try to just be along because you want to be part of some shit. No. If you center and ground yourself in the truth, you won't be so uncomfortable all the time. But don't have the courage to be out here talking shit about everybody else and degrading and, you know, not giving other people their praises and not giving them their salutes or their just dues or whatever you want to call it. Don't be out here doing that, right? But then when the people that's around, in and around you or whatever camp you with, you ain't got nothing to say. That's that shit I don't like. So what that really would be is message. That's a message. But we gonna see, man. We gonna see, man. It's a nice little track record of things that's been happening and shit that's been going on, man. And it's data. Now, whether it's an X or an O you want to pay attention to, that's a whole other thing. I'm paying attention to all the X's and all the O's. You know, because it's this one guy out here, he like to say, oh man, I just call balls and strikes. You know what I'm saying? No, you like to jiggle balls. And when the fighter do what he's supposed to do, you like to go on strike. Give these guys their credit. Give Scoffield their credit. What up, AC?
What's good, buddy? Yo, I let me just open with this. You can tell the nature of who a person is by how they deal when it comes down to some shit where you personally, none of this affects you, but just take accountability for the things you said and the things you vouch for. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? So when I'm gonna say it again, just like I put it in the chat, Pop made the announcement. There were plenty of people watching because people were texting and stuff like that. So people were watching. People heard it. People heard the question. You feel what I'm saying? I heard the stomach aches and the grumbling and the moaning and all of that other crazy shit when it was mentioned. Like, man, I don't want to deal with that, man. You know, that's crazy talk. You can just hear the thoughts. They were that loud. So the thing we've been asking is, plenty of other gyms have had 1 or 2 great fighters and everybody else just didn't make the cut. or were just B-level fighters. You take Angelo Dundee, right? And I'll let this ambulance or whatever go by, and I'll tap back in.
All right. Hit my like button, y'all. Subscribe to the channel, man. Support the channel, man. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't give a fuck who feelings I hurt or what's going on, man. But we gonna keep putting stakes in the ground for the truth, man. And I'm this. Listen, I thought I was thinking about this right the other day, and I'm just talking until AC get back. But this one I want to put out to everybody. I just want to put this out to everybody, right? See, I like controversy, but I like my controversy organic, not orchestrated. Like controversy is good when it's organic, like something that just naturally happens. Like just two people that just kind of don't like each other, and just something happened to where it is. Like not this orchestrated stuff. But I just wanted to put that out there while the ambulance was going. But go ahead.
Now here's where I was going with it. You had Angelo Dundee. When you look at who Angelo Dundee is and the great trainer he was and shit like that, dude really only had two fighters that were relevant, that everybody talked about. And for those people who don't know, that was Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. You feel what I'm saying? Everybody else Angelo Dundee fucked with, they were pretty much B-level fighters or turned into club fighters or gatekeepers. You feel what I'm saying? So there may be a lot of guys coming out of that gym, a lot of names, and dudes getting these low-level, easy, low-hanging fruit belts, but that doesn't mean you're proven you're that guy. You feel what I'm saying? I was on a panel years ago, maybe last year, not years ago, last year, when this fight was being early on states of being talked about and stuff. And there was some heavy Canelo fans on the panel, and there was some heavy Bud fans on the panel, and that was one of the most productive, insightful Canelo versus Bud conversations that I've had yet. And to be honest, a lot of them still ain't live up to it not because of the content, but because everybody was honest about their assessment. Bud will lose this fight. I don't give a fuck what people say. He makes the fight difficult for himself by trying to get in there and slug with Canelo inside the pocket too long. He's going to get... it's just not a good look for him. I like the fact that, the part that makes it interesting for me is Bud's putting his weight gain on scientifically. He took a whole year off. A lot of other fighters, they just got the call, and they was like, I could be ready in 3 months. Are you sure about that? You sure you could jump up 2 weight classes? I get your walk around weight, but what you walking around in is not what you ready to fight at. So I think that's where guys have made their mistakes. If they'd have took off the same time or allotted the same time Bud had, that Mel Charlo fight would have looked way different, way different. Let Mel had a whole year to get acclimated to 168 pounds. The fight would have looked way different. So for me, I like to be honest about it. You feel what I'm saying? I told the dude earlier, like, look, bro, listen, y'all was all good with the Shakur fight when there was a lot of questions behind Scoffield, but now it looked like he putting his shit together, doing a Brian Norman 2.0 out here, and now y'all like he better stay in. And now what's gonna happen? All the talks of why he don't get it, but you was with it before, why he don't deserve a fight.
Yeah, and just the degrading of Tevin Farmer, like overnight, I was like, nah, bro, we not gonna do that. We did a thorough analysis. I said, look, all my predictions are off once he missed Ray, and I text you, right?
Yeah.
I text you. I said all my predictions because I said that speaks to something different. You know what I'm saying? But I still thought it was gonna be way more competitive than that. But that by no means am I gonna sit up here and say Tevin ain't this and that. It's just like, man, this is like This shit that's going on in boxing talk today, it's just rinse, wash, repeat. It's a whole bunch of people that just echo. They don't have nothing going on. It ain't no real creatives out here.
Yeah, because dudes just want to look. When you look at YouTube, right? Just take all of YouTube as a whole, right? The majority of content that's created on YouTube is reactionary. Donald Trump said something, so let me react off of this. Shakur Stevenson dropped a tweet, so let's react off of this. Let me react off the card that I saw last night. Let me react off of how I looked at these dudes doing. Reacting to music, TV shows, manga episodes and shit like that. It's mainly reactionary. So when you're in a reactionary culture, it's extremely hard to be proactive, to want to get in front of something. You feel what I'm saying? Put stakes in the ground. That's getting in front of something because you're always thinking ahead. I don't need to do a reaction. I'll do a reaction when a reactionary video is actually necessary after a great fight card or a shitty fight card. You feel what I'm saying? So when you just dealing in that makes it difficult to drive a real solid conversation. You feel what I'm saying? Leading back to the Bud versus Canelo conversation, we all unanimously, if it wasn't a unanimous decision, we stayed on that point. To whereas we decided where Canelo wins the fight, where Bud wins the fight. How these guys do it. And I just been like, look, I can give credit to all of those guys that was on that panel that day. Leading up to the fight, I know a channel like this, I could get the same reaction. You feel what I'm saying? Have that same level conversation when it comes closer to the fight actually getting underway and stuff like that. Now, we saw Avius Griffin. Young fighter was saying, Avius Griffin got a belt. B&B is all about the belts. It's yada, yada, yada. But we saw, for me, it looked like for this fight, I don't know if it's because the bigger fighters were Bud, but it looked like they just spent more time with just letting Avius Griffin fuck around with Kelvin Davis. Because those same flaws that Kelvin did in that fight, Avius did.
Yeah, I think like right away, I think he felt something. It was either, I think it was like, it might have been late in the first round, but in the second round, I think he felt hammer hands, and he was just like, he had already committed to where, oh no, I gotta be cautious. And like, to me, I didn't see no real strategy.
Me neither. And that's
like, and I saw a lot, like the dude is wild, and then I seen a lot of like the last 10 seconds, you want to run up on him, like you want to get on the inside when he's on the ropes and then make it a fight. It's like, man, I seen a lot of flaws though, man. I seen a lot of flaws.
Yes, same here. I think for me personally, I kind of think B&B's flaw is training a tall, lanky fighter. They just don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, you gotta like some of that. Like I knew when he was gonna throw the right hand. I told my lady it was at least 2 rounds before Tarver said. I said, man, if I could tell, I was demonstrating it in front of, cause we be putting the big screen up, we put the big screen up and use the projectors when we be watching the fight, so I could see that shit like they be almost big as me, So yeah, I was showing her the motions. I said, every time he do this, he gonna throw that. I said, if I know that, I know Julian know that. And then like 2 rounds later, Antonio Tarver said, yeah, he's like, man, he's like, you can see him loading up for the right hand. He's like, he gotta get away from that, And then the punches are wild, because it was times where he had opportunities, but he gotta be sharper. He gotta be crystal with them punches, man.
Like Avius, you could tell every time he was getting ready to throw his power shots. He was getting ready to sit on a punch, because he did this tell. He's standing there taking these small steps right in front of you, and he'll move his hands in like a circle motion, like he making bread dough or something, or toffee or some shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? It was just one going around each other. Then right before he get ready to throw the punch, it looks like he takes that last step and squats, and then he gets ready to throw the
Yep.
punch. And I was like,
I kept telling him, I said wide stance. I said once he leave that wide stance and them legs get closer, he gonna throw it. And that's exactly what I told my lady. And I showed it. I said, and then he got that thing that he do that I see a lot of fighters do it. Let's just say your power hand is your right. When you throw it and you don't throw it right, you don't generate the momentum from your legs and twist your body. You step over with that right, so then you always gonna have to bring that back to get it. He does that. I seen that. I said, man, I showed my lady that. I said, yeah. I said, because I can always tell with a fighter in the first two. I said, yeah. I said, man, he don't got good technique. I said, a good boxer wait for him to do that, and especially if they make him miss, he's fooled, because you got to get back on your stance, especially if you can't fight from both stances, like because you already in an awkward stance. That's not how you defending yourself. So you're vulnerable until you get that foot back where it need to be. You know, where it's no longer your lead foot. He does that. He got to reset that foot, because when he throw that right, he brings his leg forward past his left leg. It's like, man,
it's way too front heavy.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like, all right, I was just like, I'm gonna just wait to see if Rodriguez is just gonna, stop him, because god damn, bro, you like, if this is the Avius Griffiths everybody was trying to tell me about that was supposed to be all whatever, I was just like, I'm not impressed. Your clips were more impressive, and I don't know if that was a level of competition, because going back, I heard one of the announcers say something, so I went back to see the press conference to see which one it was. I mean, to see what he was saying. And old boy quietly was consistent that, listen, it's a level thing. You're not on my level. Them dudes you fought, they not on my level. Regardless of my losses, the level of competition I fought was way above you. And I'm going to show you that night. And I was like, yeah. I mean, he did catch him with a couple. He did catch him a couple of times, but you could see that level of experience in that, because because Rodriguez was whatever homeboy name was a good counterpuncher.
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez. It kept him from wanting to rush in like that.
Cause look, I kept saying this to my lady. I said, man, it's like he had metal gloves and Avius had a magnet on the right side of his face, because the left hook he could not miss. Like every time he threw it.
No, it was perfectly. He was just timing the shit out of him. He was so nice with throwing that left hook. He literally had his head down, dodged the punch, and just threw the shit and still caught him.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, you just right there. It's instinctive that he know your head gonna be right there. Bro.
Right, yeah, well, because you're predictable where you're gonna be. You don't get off the line. Like that's what they say, when you don't get off the line, you still there. It's like they know where you're gonna be, so all they gotta do is throw that motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't even gotta look, just throw it.
Yep.
And now I understand why back in the day I used to hear trainers like, before everyone wanted to give their fight, how you should fight the fight, when announcers used to just call a fight and they used to always have the corner. You would hear the corner dude say, listen, he right there for you. Even if you don't see him, just throw it. It will hit him. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm like, damn, if that type of shit don't age extremely well right now, because at the end of the day, you got it, like we say, even if it's your favorite fighter, be critical, because I'm always amazed at how critical people are of their favorite non-boxing team, whether it's basketball, football, baseball. They can be extremely critical about a player or coach, whoever the fuck come aboard that fucking up and dragging the team down, or whatever it be, new manager, this and that. But when it comes to boxing in this era, man, listen, it'll be difficult. And dudes is out here tripping, because I'm saying this, Dev is my guy. But if this fight get across the line, I'm saying it like this. Norman Jr., you gotta step on this nigga. Like there is no, if you want to solidify yourself as the bag now, as the bag, you're inheriting the division. Now the first dragon need to be slayed. You feel what I'm saying? You slay that dragon, that Devin Haney dragon, get that name under your belt, solidify who you are. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's an ugly truth, but Devin Haney's name right now is, in my opinion, is the biggest name at 47. You feel what I'm saying? So get that Devin Haney name, and then please go after Lewis Crocker. That's an important fight for you, bro.
Let me wrap up. I'm gonna go into the Norman, but let me just wrap up one thing about this. One was they was gonna rob Julius Rodriguez. They had it even.
Yeah. They
had it even going into the 10th, which I don't know
how they had that.
I don't know how. I mean, yeah, you can count the knockdown because Griffin he got a knockdown, so you can give him that. But that when that happened, I still had him a point behind when that happened. So even with that had him a point behind, and after that, I don't see. But this is what I be trying to say. And that guy in the post fight interview, he basically said, he was like, yeah, he said, I knew I had to do something. And he was like, why? He was like, did you feel like you were up? Or he's like, nah. He's like, I feel like I had to do something because after all, I am on a Jake Paul card and he's a Jake Paul fighter. He was like, hey, Jake, I bet you know me now, or something like that. Like that was cold too, you know. But they was, and the other thing is, man, I do want to say this, man. Just from seeing Avius and his personality and how he was shining and stunting, like I was rooting for the dude. I actually put bread down on the dude, and you know, I want him to know this. Maybe the lights was a little bright, too big, too bright, because you had a lot of eyeballs on you, right? But I do hope that you recover and you don't give up, because you are from Chattanooga. I know how it is out there. I know how, you know, you might want to use this as an excuse to go dibble and dabble and go do something. Don't do that. Use this as a learning lesson. Make your pivot. Like the Pivot podcast say, let this be the biggest pivot after that, you know, beating that charge, because you beat that charge. That's the biggest victory. If you can beat that, you can definitely be resilient and come back in this situation. So I don't want this to get lost in the translation. It just means that maybe, message, this is the message, maybe those yes men and those people saying, oh, you doing this and you doing that, maybe you don't need them around you. Maybe you need people like myself that'll say, nah, man, do it again. Nah, man, do that again. Like, nah, man, that's not working. Like, we're going to do it 100 times until you get it perfectly right. Nope, get your chin out the air. Nope, stay on the phone. Like, stay on the phone. Every time you throw that punch, stay on the phone. Like, stop being so tall. Use your jab. We're going to throw that jab 1,500 times today. You know what I'm saying? Until you on the phone and you throw that jab, you know what I'm saying? Get rid of that tail you got. So I don't want that to get lost. I hope the man rebound. I hope he rebounds from this. I hope he keeps his head clear. And I just say, listen, man, tighten up your circle, be a little bit more harder, and let your work in the gym and what you put into the gym be just as loud as all those things that you show, you know, on social media and stuff like that. So I wanted to say that. But transitioning back into what you said, I'm still in shock that the fight got made official. I'm still I'm walking on eggshells, you know what I'm saying? Because we've seen this before. But do you think your initial outlook, do you think that you think Devin can win this fight?
No. Stylistically, I think it's probably an even matchup, because right now I consider Brian Norman Jr. a boxer puncher. I consider Dev a pure boxer. You feel what I'm saying? When I look at maturity, poise, discipline, the performance he did in Australia, okay, cool, super disciplined. You stayed poised. You followed the game plan. You didn't over exert yourself because of the situation. You feel what I'm saying? You smart. You fought a smart fight.
Mhm.
The reason why I say I don't believe Dev wins because you're talking about a different level of power that's just natural. You're talking about, right now, Norman Jr. Is displaying now that he put things together. He can box, and we may be looking at a young man that once he gets there, we'll be looking at a young man that has generational power. Like once Tank is gone, it's all gonna be who's the most powerful puncher in the division in boxing period in this era. I would say Brian Norman Jr. might be in that argument. So I don't think Devin can deal with that type of power. And I'm just being honest because Regis doesn't crack like that. Ryan doesn't crack like that. Not even with Ostering, Ryan cracks like that.
Let me point out something, man, and this is the reason why. This is the main reason why, because it's the same thing I said when he fought Ryan. It was one of the things I was saying about Devin the whole time is that he kind of got accustomed to fighting these guys that were shorter and with the shorter reach. And I said that it's going to be different when somebody's around your height and their reach is the same or just as long as yours, because you've been using that advantage and you've been physically bigger than everybody else. So your punch resistance is a little bit better. And I said, that's why I made my prediction when I said what I said about Ryan. Now, they saying that Brian Norman got a 72-inch reach and Devin got a 71-inch reach. Now, Devin might be slightly taller. I think they might be about the same height. But bigger, I don't know if bigger, because that's not to Devin's advantage. Like, to be carrying that weight, because remember, he hasn't been fighting. Exactly. He might have been sparring at that size, but he hasn't been fighting at that size. Exactly. And you got to think, his punch resistance, he hasn't fought anybody with those smaller gloves at that weight class. This is a very dangerous fight. So I salute Devin for taking it. But I got it ending real bad, man, because every time he's in range, even an inch out, like even every time he's in range to hit, he's already in range with an extra inch to be, hit already. So
now, for me, it's like when the punch that Brian Norman gave to Jin, right? The knockout, the one that finished the fight. That was a reactionary blow. That wasn't like, Tank setting up Rolly and Rolly coming in and Tank threw it off the bounce of the rope and shit like that. It wasn't like Deontay Wilder versus Dominique Brazil, where he got to throw the perfect 1-2 and step into it and generate that power. It was just, oh shit, you giving me that and you pulling away with your head straight up. Here, hold this, boop, and he just threw it. And a punch like that knocked 2 weeks out of that man's memory. My issue with Devin Haney is, okay, I would argue you might have done it right. You feel what I'm saying? If you were fully acclimated to 47 in the last fight was at 47, and you showed us that you could sit on your punches and you can box at least with the veracity and same intention of the rounds that you clearly won versus Ryan Garcia. or take us back to a nice, impressive victory that would have been on the level of you fighting Regis. But we didn't get neither one of those. We didn't get neither one of those. What we got was the after effects of people calling that type of performance a Tom and Jerry type of performance. So you didn't leave anything lasting that says at 47 you'll be able to take this man's punch. At 47, if you decide to go into that style, Brian Norman already showed the patience and the ability to cut off the ring to still get to you. At some point, you got to fight Brian Norman Jr., and when that point happens, that's when you lose.
This the thing. This what I see, AC. And Devin was good at this, because this is how he beat Lomachenko. He went to Loma's body. The only thing is, we talked about this the last time we got on this. When you go into his body, you're going to be susceptible for that headshot. So I don't think you're going to be able to go to the body, but I think that has to play a part into actually getting to Brian Norman, because you can't exchange with him. And no. you gotta think, like I said before, every time you get in to do your little, because it's gonna be he's gonna see your pattern when you like to come in and when you don't. You can try to rely on that speed, but timing beats speed. Yeah. So once after a couple rounds, he see like, oh, okay, he like the circle, and this is when he do that. He start doing that pattern recognition. He gonna time you, and it's gonna be double impact because you're gonna be coming in for it, and he already gonna be done timed you. So I just think I salute him for taking it. I salute him for taking it. I just
the shit out of him for taking it, bro. I'm like, what the serious? Okay, Dev. All right,
that's just like when he took Regis, but I hear people trying to make that Regis comparison. I'm saying no. That's like no. Brian Norman and Regis, no. Regis is not. Even though Regis is my guy, you know what I'm saying? Regis kind of be freestyling with his punches. His technique is not as crispy. He got some power, but not Brian Norman power.
Yeah, and, and the thing is,
he's not as patient either.
He's not as patient. He's not as mature, and his technique is not as polished as Brian Norman. Like Brian Norman still got a lot of growth to do, and that's the exciting part for me, is looking at his growth and looking at how he's putting it together and polishing it up right now. Like I gotta say, man. Fighting a reckless Jin Sasaki who just came in there just like, fuck it, I'm throwing all caution to the wind. When you look at when Jin was trying to go to his body and stuff like that, he covered up and was extremely defensively sound. When he's on his back foot, yeah, he might have got caught with a Jin punch and shit like that, because Jin does have hand speed and he does have power, but he became defensively sound, and out of a 5-punch combination, only one got through. So at the end of the day, for me, I just think this kid is coming into his own, and it's gonna be hard to beat him. You feel what I'm saying? And Dev, I applaud you for taking this fight, but just like when I was talking about the Diego Pacheco and So Cold fight, I'm like, bro, I hate to break y'all dude's heart, man, but So Cold is not gonna win this fight. And I hate to break, the most hardened Devin Haney fans. I'm a Devin Haney fan, but I'm saying I don't see a way that he wins this fight, not against him. If it's Rolly, I could see him outboxing Rolly. You feel what I'm saying? And frustrating Rolly to whereas you're nullifying all of Rolly's power. You're not going to frustrate Brian Norman. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, because even with Brian Norman, I think Rolly need that leverage. He need to be lined up and he have that leverage. But even with Brian Norman not having full leverage, if he touch you, you gonna know you've been touched. Yeah,
exactly. Because those are glancing blows that drop Jin. Glancing.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think Boots fans in this whole camp still talking about Norman?
Because the Norman situation is still a legacy fight for Boots. If you really, really wanted to define yourself, the perfect time was defining yourself with Brian Norman after Jin Sasaki fight. You feel what I'm saying? I'm thinking like this. It's still time, even after the Devin Haney fight. You feel what I'm saying? But more than likely after that Devin Haney fight, you're gonna be gone, and you know the rankings will say it and everything else. But for me, it's just like, you know, it's legacy. You know, it's a drop ball situation. They know that it's another one of those names like Conor Benn, Blair Cobb. You feel what I'm saying? Now Brian Norman Jr. 3 fighters that were perfect opportunities to fight, but for whatever reason, you chose not to fight these guys. So
yeah, I just think that it's weird that it to me it just sounded they know there was a funny move and they can't outright say it, so they got to keep doubling it down. Like, I didn't want that broad no way, and then every time you see it, it's like, man, you know that broad, remember that broad? It's like you wanted that broad, like, but the move you made, it wasn't the best move, so you got to kind of double down because you feel real uncomfortable. I'm like, if you moved on, talk about people at 54. Stop talking about the Norman. Yeah. Like, and now he really shitting on y'all because he wasn't playing around. Like, this action right here, it shows that he was not playing around. To have that shit signed, sealed, and announced already, in the date in November, you had been said we don't know what you about to do.
Exactly. So here's the thing for me. When it comes down to Boots, right? In this situation, the thing that makes Boots look bad that no one can explain is you can't explain to me that it's a weight situation when you were trying to make the fight before he was he even fought Jin. And y'all like, sign the contract, we'll do it after the Jin fight, but we need you to sign the contract now. So if you was willing to wait around for after the Jin fight, and long as you had that signed piece of paper or signed agreement, you still would have had to be there at 47. So the whole I'm there for 10 years, that's your fucking fault. Because you was there when, guess what? You was there when Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn. You were there when Bud fought Jeff Horn. You were there for all of that stuff that was going on. Granted, I get you was young and everything, but you was young and you was choosing to stay quiet. You were choosing to fight in those type of arenas and little places that you were at. You were trying to build your career from the mud. I don't have a problem with that. You feel what I'm saying? But the whole argument of your fans saying you've been there for 10 years, that's because they moved him that way. It wasn't like he was putting in great work and giving us a dynamic, legacy-defining resume. Like, come on, man. Let's just keep it a beam.
Yeah. What's up, Koki? Salute, man.
Yo, salute Bodywork, salute AC. Y'all hear me good?
Salute, yeah. We can hear you clear.
Yo, good. How you guys doing today, guys? Hit the like and subscribe. I wanted to add to the point that AC was making about Ennis. I feel like with Ennis, right? He, you mentioned all the fights that he had when, Pacquiao was out and Crawford was out. So I feel like, he's looking at Brian Norman like, you know what? Brian Norman is 23? He's about to get a Haney fight in Saudi. And, he's probably like, you know what? Man, like all that time I was out being quiet at 147. And now Brian Norman comes in and, Brian Norman could be a megastar. You know what I'm saying? You look at this guy, how he carries himself in Japan. He was showing respect to the culture. He was doing a lot of things you want to see from a young professional. He didn't need to do any Tio antics. He didn't need his dad to act like Bill. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of like going straight with it. And I feel like Ennis' team, not just Ennis himself, Bonzi, all those guys, they see Brian as that next potential megastar. And I think they're reacting that way. You know, they're reacting like, you know what, that we should have took that route, took the risk. You know, I know sometimes, you know, they want to build guys up, you know, by like 25, 27, you know, they get a title shot. Usually that's like how it is, you know, but sometimes you got to take that risk to be on that level. And I think Anders is going to make a lot of noise at 154, but I think ultimately, right, by the time he's like, you know, before 35, a lot of those, you know, abilities are going to diminish. And by this time, look at Norman, you could look at his career, you could see what he does by like 28, 29. That's what makes it so interesting. You know, it's like they do have different trajectory on their careers, but I feel like Brian Norman is taking that risk of, you know, going out. You know, they never put this guy in Atlanta to fight. That's why I'm a little upset, because I'm like, why did Turkey put this again in Saudi when Brian Norman is the champ? I know Haney's the A side. He's the more known fighter, right? But Brian Norman's the champ. He was in Japan, you know, not too long ago. And I feel like, you know, these Saudi fights, man, look, I know they're trying to promote Riyadh and all that, but, you know, you got to bring boxing to these places that could get big. You know, Atlanta, you know, down south, they deserve that, man. You know, they don't get enough of that, I feel like. You know, so that's just my point.
Yeah, I think they might try to, for B. Norman Jr., I think they might look for something on paper that might be a little bit bigger as far as a unification against a good name. I wouldn't mind. The fight I could see happening in Atlanta is Brian Norman versus Rolly.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like that a lot.
But you got a lot of people, Cold Key. You got people in Atlanta that's echoing these points about, well, just take what Turkey giving you. Yeah, so what? You ain't going to the fight no way. I'm like, but we got a star. We got a potential star, you know, off of 95. Like, we got a guy that, you know, there could be events down there. Like, yeah. So the fact that it's in Saudi, I mean, they road warriors, so they don't care. But as fans, we kind of care, because this has been my point the whole time. They're taking our talent and making them fight over there, which is not so great for them, even though they willing to do it because of the money. But like us as fans, we want American boxing to be great. Like where we're at, we want to see fights over here. We want to be able to go to the events and, you know, and have it here, you know, for us. Yeah. But Turkey don't care about that. So they basically, you got fans out here, long story short, you got fans out here saying, just take what Turkey give you and shut up. Just be glad that the fight been made, basically.
Yeah. I think a lot of those you know, TBV voices, they be doing that a lot, because I feel like they're not looking at what Turkey's doing. You know, Turkey, he loves these fighters. You know, you see him take these fighters out, getting them like dinners and all these ceremonies and shit, right? But what about the community? What about the community that these fighters come from, that these fighters themselves represent? That's part of their whole like character. You know, you got Tank, Baltimore, you got Matias, Montenegro. Like, these guys build themselves up with that community, that whole, you know, fan base, you know, the first fans, you know, the people that showed up to the amateur fights, the people that know the first 10 fighters these guys fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like Turkey wants the boxers, but he doesn't want the fan base. He wants to like generate these new fans. I don't know what he's doing, man, because even on Ring Magazine website, you go to ringmagazine.com, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, these articles that they post every day, so some of them ain't got nothing to do with boxing. It's just like, I'm trying to find news, and it's just a lot of like, you know, blazing or it's stupid shit. So I hope, you know, Turkey could realize, like, you can't do boxing without the people. The people is what makes it big. You know, I don't know, man. At first I was supporting Turkey because I was like, okay, who's gonna duck smoke now? You can't duck smoke because you got Turkey offering people $11 million. You know, so you can't duck the smoke now. But it's like, I realized when I watch these fights, the atmosphere is dead. Like, I hate it. That's why, like, I be going back to PBC events, because when I go back to those events, I like the atmosphere. I like seeing fans come in. Like, you know, I like, sometimes I watch the fights like 10 times in a row, because You ever watch a fight and you look at the fans' reaction to like a punch? Be like, damn, yo, that fan like spazzed out to the, to that left hook. That shit look crazy, and you want to see the fan react. But then there's like another fan doing something different. It's like, that's what I want to see, man. Like I'm tired of, seeing these dudes like,
They just be
grouped up.
cold. They just be in the audience cold. Like you watch American Card. You see dudes standing up, throwing their fists, you covering their mouth, and you can literally hear them like, yeah, knock that motherfucker out.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Because
I don't know, man. I wish they changed that, man. That's why I respect Tank Davis for telling Turkey to chill out. You know what I'm saying? Because Tank knows he's like the event. You know what I'm saying? He's not like these guys like Tio or Haney or other guys like trying to like make themselves the event through whatever antic they're doing. I feel like you got to own that, and Turkey sees that shit. He's like, I want the fighter, but I want to take him away from the event. I want him to be at my event. It's like, I don't know, man.
He want the glory, Koki, and that's what it is. He wants to be able to. He want people to be able to say, "Oh man, look at what Turkey gave us." Like that's the whole thing. Because he don't care. Like he don't care about us over here, bro. He want the glory, which is all right. I mean, I guess for him, he's doing because he's getting away with it, so you can't knock him because he can do it. But he don't. At the end of the day, he don't care how we feel. And to your point about the fans, it's like it's not as bad as COVID, but it kind of has some. It kind of resembles it a little bit. Like remember how fights was in COVID? COVID was quiet.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that.
Damn, yo, I mean, you remember the Times Square event, right? AC and Body. I remember when they barricaded the fans, because I was gonna go there because I work over there too. So it's like I was gonna stop by, but then I heard like, yo, the fight is 2 blocks away from where you gotta stand. I'm like, yo, what? 2 blocks away? How I'm gonna? And they made people watch it on a TV outside. Bro, like I hated Turkey for that because like you're in New York, right? Like the history of boxing over there. Why would you do that? And then they had these guys coming out in taxis. I'm like, bro, it's 7 p.m. in New York City. What the hell you think? There's gonna be no traffic? Because some of them entrances took like 10 minutes. And I'm like, I know Turkey didn't plan this out with his people. He just like, let's just do some like cliche shit. Let's do cab themes and Tupac ring men and all that shit was sus. I couldn't really. Yeah, it was too much, man. But I'm hoping, thankfully for us, man, like AC and Body. I know you guys study this game, y'all love this game, and I appreciate y'all. But for me, July is the month. I've been waiting for July for a long time. Not just for the Matias fight. I feel like there's so many like groundbreaking fights that we're about to see, and I feel like these fights are going to change the landscape of boxing.
Yeah. I'm going to put my email me, Koki. I got an idea, man. I'm going to run by you, but I'm going to put my email in the private chat.
I got you.
So you can hit me up.
Yeah, man. I'm going to be excited for that too. I want to give you guys as much, because I'm going to go over there July 12th. I'm going to be right there in Queens. I'm going to show up. I got a few, people from my boxing gym in the X. They're going to come through too, so.
What weight you box at?
I box at 152 and 165 in the amateurs. I started, my first fight was 2014. I was in upstate New York. I lost my first fight. And then I won my next 7 fights into 2019. And 2019 was my last amateur fight. And then, COVID happened and I got into when the gym opened up, I was coaching, sparring, but I kind of stuck with my main career. And I stopped amateur fighting. But this year, I may do an exhibition. I may do exhibitions now because I didn't go pro yet. I was going to go pro before COVID, but I changed my mind. Because to go pro, you got to be full time beyond everything. You can't have. I know guys that got the side jobs, but you got to do the pro thing before that. So, but yeah, it was in over there. We was I'm not sure you heard of John's Boxing Gym.
Yeah,
it's one of the oldest gyms in New York, so they've been around for a while. So I've gone there and I've represented them at every level for the like we did Golden Gloves, we did Metros, New York Metros too, and so. And the gym is right there by the 6 train, so it's always available to Monday to Saturday.
Oh, okay. All right. That's what's up.
But you do a little bit more than box, don't you? You grapple. What else you do, Koki?
Oh, that was high school, yeah. So I went to all boys high school, very strict high school, but they had us on a wrestling team. And what was cool though, we was a wrestling team in the Bronx. So it was like our team was only Jamaicans, like brothers, and there's like 3 Puerto Ricans, right? But our rivals, our opponents were these like Long Island, New Jersey kids on steroids, like these Jersey Shore fist pumping motherfuckers. Like these dudes were like angry, right? And then we walk into the weigh-in for the wrestling matches, and we all had like afros and cornrows. Like you could tell we were from the Bronx. And these dudes used to hate losing to our high school team. We won 3 city championships in a row. And we were the most hated team in Jersey, New York, the whole tri-state area. We were hated beyond because we represented like our people, and that's like something I hold to this day for me, because that's like my biggest accomplishment. I had 47 matches. I won 44 and I lost 3. And I kid you not, man, I had a D1 scholarship too. I had a D1 scholarship my senior year. The only thing was I was really bad in my academics. I didn't really follow up with my SATs, my regents. I signed my name on the paper and I handed it in. I was not trying to pass anything over there. So I filled off the team because I had to get my grade point average above the 80. And they kind of like, you can't do this anymore, because they let me get away with it too. But it was my last year, and then I stopped doing that. But and I did start boxing late too. So like that's why I respect guys like Regis Prograis and other guys that start boxing late, because I started real late. I didn't box when I was younger.
Yeah.
So that's tough too. When you start boxing late, bro, there's so many sharks out there. Especially, you go to a boxing gym, you see some coach, his eyes open up real big because he loves seeing new guys. Like, you want to spar my guy? You want to spar my guy? And it's like, oh shit. That should make you like, what not? You want to like find an excuse to not go to the gym the next day, be like, my leg hurt, like some shit. Nah, but that's all part of it though.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, but I'm hyped though. I'm hyped for props to Devin Haney. Like you could admit I'm the biggest Devin Haney hater on YouTube. It's just I don't have a platform, but in the comment sections I'll go insane. Like you see me body work. But props to Devin Haney. This fight going from Jose Ramirez, 34-year-old guy, to a young Brian Norman who's 5'9". He's built like an onyx. Like this guy, Brian Norman is not some like Barrios. He's not some 147 guy. He's built, bro. He's not like you're not gonna clinch him and move him around like you did with Lomachenko. So I'm not sure what Bill and Devin are stirring up, but big respect to them, man. I got to give them props. That's because Ennis had an opportunity to get with Brian Norman and Haney did it. Isn't that crazy to you guys? Like that shit blows my mind right now, because I can't wrap my mind around it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. That's why I said, but see, in the fact that even if you say you're a hater, at the end of the day, you respect real moves. So it's just like when he took on Regis. When he grabbed Regis, I said, okay, Dev, okay, cool. I'm with it, because Devin, I like Regis. Like I like him. He's one, he's not technical and all that, but like I like Regis as a boxer. I like him, so when he did that, we gave him respect. So you could be a hater. I don't consider myself a hater of him. I keep it real on him, but we gotta respect the move. Yeah. So that shows you at your core is like, we respect that move. I'm like, I already knew they didn't have no options, bro. Like that's just the bottom line. Like this is I ain't gonna say it's kamikaze, but it resembles kamikaze. Like this is like a, this is a big gamble, man. But hey, he got the cojones, man. So salute to him for that. And like I said, we got to keep our fingers crossed that they get across the finish line. Like Bias Boston says, November is a long time away. Yeah, but so we got to keep our fingers crossed and hope nothing crazy come out, or it's gonna be a long toxic. It's gonna be a long toxic debate thing, and YouTube about to go crazy and get toxic about it and divisive. But
that's gonna be a lot of content for everybody.
Yeah, so we'll see, man.
I was gonna ask you guys, do you think that's like too long, like November for Haney? Because I know Haney fought in April, right, or May? I forgot when he fought, but because I know Brian is gonna get the like recent, like he's gonna be the fresher fighter. I feel like
I'm gonna say it like this: the thing that brings it to kind of understanding maybe a November date is to give him the opportunity, maybe, I'm just speaking, maybe to try to acclimate himself officially to 47.
I agree.
Like bring it up to a point where you can confidently defend yourself and put on a good show.
I agree 100%.
So
yeah,
I think that may be the only reason why, because I'm kind of like, I don't know what else is on that Bud versus Canelo card, but if anything, and I think I did say it before, that if Devin did fight Brian Norman, for me, it would make sense to put it on that card right there.
Yeah, that's 100.
Be a diva and saying no, I'm this, I'm that, and they like, look, I don't want to fuck the fight up, so give these niggas their own little card. So
yeah, what's up, D Calico? Salute.
What's going on?
Yo, salute D Calico.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man. I mean, I think we gotta keep it real that Devin is by far the best fighter Brian Norman ever got in the ring with. And
that's fair. Nah, I agree with that.
We can't deny that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'm just saying that, like when I look at like let's say the Quentin Randall versus Brian Norman fight, like that's the closest style he's ever fought that resembles Haney's style, And of course Quentin Randall went 12 rounds with him, and that style gave him difficulty. Like it really brought a lot of roughhouse out of Brian Norman. Like Norman was damn near throwing elbows, damn near slamming him, grabbing, Like it got real hectic because he couldn't land those punches. You feel me? So I could see Haney going 12.
Okay. Now, so let me just ask you this quick question.
It's going to take some action to win the decision.
Let me ask you this quick question then. Based off what you just said about the Quentin Randall fight, we talking post-hand surgery, pre-hand surgery. Do you keep the same feel or opinion based on the fact that his hand is looking like it's fully healed and he got 2 solid knockouts off of that hand?
Yeah. Oh, so was his hand injured during the Quentin Randall fight?
Yeah. I mean, okay. that was before the hand surgery.
Okay. Well, I mean, that extra power could have helped in that fight. Okay. But it just seemed like he could have never landed it in that fight.
All right.
Because I didn't notice any lack of power. I just noticed that it was a style.
Yeah, stylistic.
Stylistic. He didn't, he couldn't unlock it.
Yeah, he wasn't quite there yet with putting it together. Mm-hmm. That's why pretty much me, Body, and I think Koki's probably on the same page that for whatever happened last year after the hand surgery, he started believing in himself, believing in his technique, and owning the fact that he's a champ. And that's a skit. Those 3 dynamics together make it really, really scary, especially when you're young and you have the ability to still grow as a fighter.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
but I can say this. let me say this. Since that fight, I don't think Brian Norman the same fighter. And over Devin's last 2 fights, we still have questions, like, because the Ryan stuff happened. I mean, you know, he get a mulligan for that because of the Oster ring, right? And then we see the Ramirez, but we don't know which kind of Devin. We don't know if Devin is the same guy, and the fact that Brian Norman is a true welterweight. You know, this is Devin's first time full-fledged. You know, we don't know what the punch resistance going to be at 47, because that was Ryan at 40. You know, and that was Jose Ramirez, who everybody is saying now, they being hindsight of 2020 is now talking about he shot, and Jose Ramirez wasn't that. This to really tell. It's like, but they wasn't saying that in real time. So, I mean, you could point out that one fight with Quentin Randall, but we don't know what Devin is at 147. To be honest, we have no data.
Yeah. But we know what he's made of. It's just like when Brian Norman goes to 154, we already know what he's bringing to the table.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's part of my criticism of this fight with Dev, to whereas I'm leaning more towards Brian Norman Jr. for the victory, for the simple fact that if Dev would have given us, and you're talking to a Dev fan, if Dev would have given us the performance that he had versus Cambosis, you feel what I'm saying? Or gave us a performance that he did against Regis in his last fight, the conversation might be a little bit different. Like, yeah, listen, this might be a tough ass fight for Brian Norman Jr. because Dev is feeling himself right now. He just came off a solid victory. He didn't take any time off because of the Ryan situation. Now, if he took that whole year off because of the Ryan situation to really acclimate himself to 47, like Bud did, to go up to 68, then yeah, the words that I would be saying would probably be like, yeah, I like this fight, but I'm still leaning towards my guy Devin Haney. But because those things didn't happen and you gave us that performance that left us with more questions, especially me being a Devin Haney fan, I can't give you that nod right now because recency bias is just gonna keep telling my brain you tripping.
Like we all know that was his worst performance, right?
Yes.
But I also want to know, with that same exact kind of performance, what would Brian Norman do against Haney? You know, I'm not saying he should run, but I'm saying if he attempts to fight like that, we know that Norman Jr. is a better athlete than Ramirez, so it'll be different. Even if he planned on bringing that same exact game plan, it'll be different. And I don't know, man. He was looking fleet on his feet, and I ain't gonna say just as far as moving backwards, but it looked like he could have, did a lot more, of course. And I think that's some of what he would have to do to beat Norman. We don't know if Devin, because you're putting on more weight, and so sometimes you won't be able to move, because remember, he's dealing with getting punched at that level, and he's also going to be carrying that weight that he hasn't fought up there. It's a couple variables. It's almost like how T.O. used to be, and it's just one aspect of his game. This is an example. T.O. was a different kind of puncher at 35 than he was at 40. That's why I didn't want to see T.O. go up to 47 against Boots. It's like, yeah, you'll be rehydrated, you'll be bigger, you'll be this, but your power haven't been the same since you was at 35, in my opinion. So in Devin's aspect, it's like, yeah, he got feet, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna use his feet, we know that's part of his game, using his movement, lateral movement, stuff like that. But we don't know if he's gonna be able to move that much at 47. And we don't know. I know leaving the Ramirez fight, we had more questions than answers after that, because we thought he was back in the saddle and this and this and that. So again, we salute him for making a move, and like AC said, he's a diehard Devin Haney fan. So we keep it a buck up here. Yeah, and on things that concern Devin, he always balances me out. He'll, we be doing light sparring over this, so he'll bring up his points, and we'll hash it out, and try to come to an understanding. But
we got a lot of questions, you know, a lot of things that
I
need to
mean,
be answered.
I put it like this: everybody say pillow fisted, but with all of these fighters, it's only a few fighters that have one punch power, and it's really like just Tank, really only Tank Davis and even Beterbiev and all of them, Ryan Garcia's, all of these guys still need to hit you with a volume of punches, right? So that's what it's boiling down to. It's boiling down to volume. And Haney's just been holding back way too much. But with volume, I know he can knock some of these dudes out, especially Ramirez. Like, if he would have put some volume on that guy, at least in the second half of the fight.
Yeah, and that was one of my hardest talking points that I had to swallow in the wrong way. You feel what I'm saying? It's like trying to swallow up your own throw up. It was like, bro, listen, I've been making an argument on different panels that, listen, Dev go up to 140, you're going to see a difference in his power. He get up to 147, where I predict that's where he going to try to, make his second run. Yo, I think Dev will be, he could stop some shit. But the mere fact that the catch weight joint, you didn't engage to make that statement that says, yeah, I'm on my way up to 47, and Ramirez is just gonna be my statement to put that division on notice.
Yep.
That's the part, bro. That's the part that for me it's like, damn, you dropped the ball on that, bro. I don't give a fuck where these dudes is trying to tell me about, your stats, and he still had a X amount of percentage on his fucking power punches. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, because the performance didn't allow me to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I wish
who's got different power. His shit hit different. He's small. He's compact. He's going to have the reach advantage over you. He knocked 2 weeks worth of memory out of a nigga, and that wasn't like the punch you throw when you really trying to knock somebody out. So my question for Devin would be, what are you gonna do to try to nullify Brian Norman's power? And what's gonna happen when you really have to fight? Just like we saw the video with him and Floyd Mayweather in the ring and shit, and then Floyd was telling them, at some point you're gonna have to fight. And that's the part where I'm saying, to repeat and double down on it, that's where I think you lose the fight, when you have to sit down and fight Brian Norman.
Nah, like Haney got such good endurance. It'll never be a complete stage of the fight. It'll be moments of the fight like that, but it just won't. It won't be like, oh, from the eighth round onward, it was a fight. Like, that's not happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But what I was just gonna say about your boy, Brian Norman. I definitely like him. I'm a fan. No cap. But you can go back to like an interview that Brian Norman did before Haney fought Prograis, and he was saying about that fight coming up that it was probably going to be kind of difficult for Prograis to land those big shots because Haney moves around, and and you can't load up and hit a guy that's moving around like that. So that was very telling to me. To me, that was his take on how it is to try to hit Devin Haney, because they sparred a lot of times. And that's another reason Haney does want a piece of him, because he sparred the guy when he was in his prime. You feel me? And he wants to, replicate that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with the fight, bro, because
Brian Norman haven't sparred Devin Haney.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't. I'm telling you, they haven't. Devin called them in for sparring, and they said no, because it was a time back before. It was a couple years ago. I think Brian Norman was like 19 or 20, and they tried, but like they big boyed him. And then here recently they tried, and Brian Norman and them was like, nah, Brian Sr. said he would have done it because it would have been great experience, but Brian Norman Jr. said no because we might have to fight someday. So they've never sparred. But to your point about the Regis thing, this is the same thing. I don't know if you were listening earlier when I made my prediction about Ryan and Devin. Is different when you are taller, longer, and bigger. This is another fight where he's not going to be tall. He might be an inch taller if the box rec is right. But he don't have, like, Norman has the longer reach. So when he's in range to hit, he's already in range to get hit. And that's what I said the problem was going to be with Ryan. When Ryan got more power and his hands is more faster, but he don't have a reach advantage. That's why I say you can't take away from a lot of that shit that Devin was doing when he was at, even with the Regis fight, or when he was at 35 with Loma, because Loma found a way to get inside, do what he needed to do, you know, on them users' angles. But this is going to be a chance to where when Devin extend his arm, Brian Norman can be 1 inch out and still hit him, but Devin can't hit him. No. So it's a reach deficit already.
The height difference makes their reach the exact same.
Right, but so now it's even. It's not. Regis got some short ass arms, dog. Like he wasn't gonna be able to, like, and he don't have good feet at all. So I think it's just we just gonna have to wait and see, because I understand what Haney fans be saying, like, and they just want to campaign for him. But I'm saying, man, as far as like the true essence of what we're gonna be looking at, this is a very risky fight for your boy, man.
Damn right. And look, like, this is where all of the respect should be due. Like, to me, even if Haney just goes 12 rounds, he don't even have to win. I feel like everybody owe him respect. You know what I'm saying?
In this fight, yeah. In this fight, I would agree with you.
If he go 12 rounds with Brian Norman, win, lose, or draw, like, he deserves respect like he won, or if you don't matter. It don't matter.
That's a good point, honestly, because if you think about it, right, everybody sees Devin as the villain, right? So imagine Devin going 12 with Brian Norman, win or lose. I feel like a lot of the, you know, hate he got with a lot of people be like, yo, that's that dude. And then, you know, win or lose, he's going to still get respect because the first guy he took at 147 was a champion. That's like 23 years old. So I feel like Devin puts himself in a win-win position. And I'm a Devin hater, but you can't dispute what he's doing for his career, because, you know, all this hate, you know, you could use that as fuel and you could turn that into, you know, fans. Mm-hmm. And so that's a good point.
And that's what you're going to find, D Calico, is over here. It's like, we actually give people credit. Like, one of the first things we said was we giving Devin full credit for taking it. We got the respect just for taking the fight. If this shit get across the finish line, it ain't no funny business, he already got the respect. So that's different from us, where we, even if we don't really, like myself, even if I don't particularly care for a style or a fighter, I still give him respect for the moves that he make. And that's what we do over here. You know what I'm saying? So he got the respect already just for taking it.
Yeah. And for me, it's whether it's win or lose. For me, Devin, if you win, it's gotta be in to a certain degree of an impressive fashion. You feel what I'm saying? Because this is where everything that people said about you coming up, boxing, dedication to everything, this is where all of that shit is like actually gonna come to head. This is because Loma was there, but there was, you know, it wasn't really there. With this fight, you two are two young dudes. You got a bright future. You feel what I'm saying? You coming off of a loss and a shaky, questionable performance, even though you won. This is the type of matchup that cleans a lot of that bullshit up. You feel what I'm saying? For Brian Norman, this is the type of fight that you have to step on Devin Haney. You have to knock him the fuck out. 9 or less, maybe even 8 or less. You feel what I'm saying? Because
hey, but watch this. Like, even in the Ryan Garcia fight, Ryan Garcia couldn't come get him. The only time Ryan succeeded is when Haney came to him. You
Yeah,
feel me?
so here's the thing. For Brian Norman, he has to step on Devin Haney because then that solidified him as the actual money man and the A
But
side over everybody. There is
but bro,
nobody you fight after Devin Haney to whereas you're the B side unless it's Manny Pacquiao.
bro, I'm talking about he hasn't fought anybody. You know what I mean? On that level, of course, he on that level, but he hasn't fought a person on his own.
Yeah,
Or
so
higher
this
level.
is the statement that you're now solidifying yourself and you're letting the boxing world know and you're letting your division know. Listen, Devin Haney was the biggest name up here. You feel what I'm saying? He was the money man according to where people got their biggest paydays to fight Devin Haney, X, Y, and Z. So if I step on this dude, I then should inherit everything that he had. You feel what I'm saying? At least at 47, and it puts Devin Haney in a position to where you either question yourself at 47 with the rest of the talent, or you take your ass back down to 40 and you do what you got to do at 40.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you even something that Haney probably don't realize that this fight is gonna show him. This fight doesn't just show you are you qualified for 147. This fight even shows you if you're qualified for 154. You know what I'm saying? For real. This is that serious. This is that serious. But like I say, you know, with that being said, that if he can hang with this guy, then I think Haney does even have a future later on at 154.
Yeah, because I at one point I did say I was just saying it to be funny or whatever, but I was like, look, man, even if Dev went all the way up to 154, you feel what I'm saying? From the rumors of what he looked like when he's just walking around, 54 still seems like a weight he can make, especially when he get in his late 20s, early 30s. So at the end of the day, for me, this is a must-see fight if it gets across the line and everything. It's a defining fight at 47. You feel what I'm saying? And it'll kind of like, you know, tell everybody, look, 47 is a division that could have a lot of shakeups, but as long as you got an anchor like Brian Norman Jr. there, all smart money would probably be put behind Brian Norman Jr. as the anchor, and everybody else will probably be those dudes that, you know, win a belt and then lose a belt.
And the only thing that makes this like a rash decision for me with Haney is that even if you beat Norman Jr., this guy being, you know, as good as he is, I can see him going to take another belt at 147 from anybody else who has one. It don't matter. I can see him taking their belt, and him and Haney would have to meet up again to unify all of the belts.
Yeah, I see. The thing at 47 is this: there's two fights that, for me, the winner of this fight could go after, or two future fights. You two future
Pacquiao
big fights. No, I'm not. I got them off of. I got them someplace else right now. What the two fights that I'm talking about is a possible Brian Norman Jr. versus Rolly Romero.
Yep.
Like we said earlier before you got on, if that fight, and I made the suggestion of, yo, what about that fight being in Atlanta? That's a great fight for unification to happen in Georgia. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You also have a guy that I keep talking about. I forgot his damn. How could I forget this guy's name? But he's another guy at 47. I'm just gonna scroll down real fast.
I know I like Speedy Rashid.
Brad something or Brian
No. His name is Lewis Crocker.
Crocker.
Yeah, take the Lewis Crocker over in Ireland. Don't do this fight in the U.S. because those Irish people, they make boxing events. And the last time Ireland had a champion, you feel what I'm saying, or someone out there like that, it's been a minute. You feel what I'm saying? So they'll get up and put on a great venue. It'll be another fight where you in another country picking up new fans and saying, yeah, he's a real world beater because he's going around the world and actually beating motherfuckers' ass. You feel what I'm saying? So that tells people he can sell in Ireland. He could sell in Japan. He could sell in Atlanta. He is the bag. You feel what I'm saying? So for me, looking at these type of fights, the winner of that fight could go on and do some shit like that and then solidify who you are, whatever. And I just think right now, this is Brian Norman's time. I think right now, this is where Devin is going to be handed his first legitimate loss. And I ain't got no problem because he could still come back off this loss because this loss is going to age really, really well. It's like, yeah, his only loss is to Brian Norman Jr. What the fuck is you talking about? You feel what I'm saying? Just like the Errol Spence fight, his only loss is to Terrence Crawford. Fuck is y'all talking about? So for me, that's where I'm staying, because if Boots really go up, I see Rolly fighting Gustavo, not Gustavo. So I see Rolly fighting Giasov for that belt. And it may not be, Giasov definitely has the potential to beat Rolly if Giasov can take that power.
Or those two belts, he had two belts, so.
Nah, Rolly only got one.
No, I'm talking about
No, he's
Jerron.
talking about Boots.
Oh, Boots, yeah.
Yeah,
Because he
and
had
I
the
was saying,
WBA and the IBF.
like Devin should have waited on one of those opportunities.
He can't do that 10-pound rehyd. I don't know if he could do that 10-pound rehydration, so he gonna stay away from that IBF. But
he gonna try to unify.
Yeah, once he get if he was to get a strap, then he'll be in the clear. But there's not many people that get in that IBF line. That's why I gave them guys a little more respect, because that 10-pound rehydration is pretty serious. Or it's really a percentage. It's not just straight 10, but up to a certain level, it's straight 10 pounds. So he, we'll see. We gotta let this get across the finish line, man. It's a lot of funny things that happen, man. But since you up here, man, I'm gonna ask you about the Scoffield. Where does Scoffield go from here? And also, I don't know if y'all seen Mbili. Mbili, got a devastating knockout.
I forgot Mbili
that's
fought this
68.
weekend. Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't see Mbili fight.
I saw it on my radar, and I didn't even watch it. Damn.
What about what you think about Scoffield and doing that to Tevin Farmer?
I mean, to do it so early was shocking. You feel me? Like, I had a little faith that he could do it, but damn.
That's what I said.
To do it early, I ain't gonna lie. He had definitely got some pent up aggression, and we know that. Like, he been waiting to fight since last year, So yeah, man, kid was overdue, and now he really gonna be aggressive because he still ain't got no wreck. Somebody in trouble. And that's the kind of reputation. It's just like Brian Norman Jr. That's the kind of reputation you want to walk around with, because your next opponent don't feel confident, and it's gonna take some. I don't even know, man, because Tevin Farmer got skills. So I was gonna say, as far as with Scoffield, I was gonna say that it would take somebody with skills to try to nullify that. But man, come on, man, he just knocked out somebody with skills.
Salute Johnny, man. Welcome back, bro. Yeah, man, I was shocked. I was kind of happy for him to get some of that pressure off, because we were putting some pressure on him from all the talking, and he did exactly what he what we needed him to do. Put on a performance like that to quiet the noise, like what AC be talking about. That can wipe away. I believe that wiped away a lot of the extra talking and all the other stuff. So now he got some room to breathe. And I was happy for him, you know, that he got that off, got that monkey, the proverbial monkey off his back. So I don't know where he go from here, but I think he's calling for the winner of Shakur Zapata, I think.
Like, if anything, he should go get Keyshawn's soon-to-be vacant belt.
Yeah, the that belt is already vacant. They did not play no games.
It's already there.
Yeah, and I think Abdullah Mason and Sam Nooks is lined up for that belt.
Oh, sure is. Damn, sure is.
Yeah, so like for Scoffield, like where he's at right now, where I'm looking, all right, he's lined up for the IBF, and right now it's looking like he lined up for Tank's belt. You feel what I'm saying? I don't see him any place else. Yeah, so basically in the IBF.
Well, eventually him and Shakur definitely gonna meet back up.
That's what we called for, the winner of Zapata Shakur. So he said he probably gonna go up there and
he said the winner, like he gonna fight his home team too.
Yeah, that's what he say. But you know, Oscar, you know, in them situations, I gotta, you know, just like with anything with Eddie, I gotta consider Eddie and I gotta consider Oscar when it comes down to making moves. So you gotta consider, you know, Oscar and how he's gonna move him.
If Zapata wins, if Zapata pulls off the upset and beats Shakur, no fucking way.
No way. That's a surprise possession.
It's like no. Bro, I may throw if more Tyler's is around, I may throw more Tyler away, but I'm not throwing away Zapata.
Yep, not at that point.
And real quick, Johnny, he basically saying he got poisoned, man. He's like they got they saying that they got poisoned by shrooms, allegedly. He's saying he got poisoned by shrooms. So, you know, he got another performance off his back. I'm gonna get off his back for that. So like AC always say, that kind of cleaned up some things. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in that situation. You know, but they saying it was shrooms. He got poisoned with some shrooms, allegedly. But go ahead, y'all.
Damn.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like, bro. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the potential. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. If Skull gets the Shakur fight, that's a good look. I'm just gonna keep holding some of the heavy Shakur fans' feet to the fire and be like, yeah, but y'all was all wooded before the knockout, because y'all was like, yeah, Shakur it's gonna be a lesson. Shakur gonna school him. He could still come back. Now it's like he better stay away from Shakur. He better do this. He better do that. I mean, why is the energy changing when y'all was on board when the fight was gonna originally go down? Dude,
it's some behind the scenes shit. But I was just thinking about a great fight for Scoffield. If I was him, I would try to line it up already. Is that I wouldn't even care if Tank won or lost versus Roach. If I was Scoffield, I would want to fight Lamont Roach. You know,
that's a good fight.
For real. Like, stamp that. Because if you can stamp that right after Tank struggles with it, that's gonna say a lot.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep it a beam with y'all. I'm gonna keep it an actual beam. Abdullah Mason get that belt up, and it's between Sam Nooks. I can see his first title defense either versus Andy Cruz or J.D. Herrera.
Well, Andy Cruz gonna go for
I'm hearing he's going for Mortaya.
He got to dance with Mortaya. So it's gonna be, you know, we gonna see how they move him. You know, I think he gonna wait on the results. Because I think really what he did was he shifted. I think that just shifted a little more pressure on Shakur, And if there was any extra pressure on Tank and Roach, which I don't think Tank need no more pressure. I think Tank gonna knock him out this time, man. That's just me being a Tank fan that I am. But I think he shifted pressure on everybody else to show up and show out now. You know, because I heard a lot of people saying 35 is lit. I'm like, it's been lit. They just ain't been mixing it up like they should supposed to be the big fight. Like, so he shifted some pressure. It's heating back up now with people getting in their seats, getting in the right seats and and playing musical chairs. Now they starting to settle down now, so
the cream.
But salute, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's like all of these, you got 3 weight classes, well, 4, 5, 168, 54, 47, 40, and 35 that just all of a sudden came alive. 30 has the potential. 30 has the potential. 26, it's still some shit going on over there that it's like when they start to get it in the mix and dudes start leaving and going up to 30, these type of moves is just like revising a lot of divisions. So moving forward for the rest of 2025, looking at 2026, man, look, we've got at least 6, maybe 7 divisions that will capture our attention. And let's not even forget about the big boys, the heavyweights. And some of the shit that's going on at cruiserweight.
Now Benavidez is going to rejuvenate cruiserweight.
Yeah, I believe once he really decides to go up there and do it, I think he might do it like maybe late 2026 if he can't get no big fights at
now he might do it soon with him and Obatiah talking about fighting.
Oh, stop playing. I didn't even see nothing. Man, listen.
Man,
I'm
talking about maybe at the end of this year.
Man, listen, I'm like, Benny, my dude, bro, but Obatiah he different.
Hey, one thing about it, if he beat Obatiah, everybody has been ducking him, bro.
Yeah.
Like he's a real boogeyman.
Yeah. Like, oh God, damn. If they like, even if he up there really talking to make a fight with Obatiah, that's big.
Yeah, he is.
That's goddamn, bro. He ain't running for no smoke, man.
No.
That's why I fucks with Benny hard, but in this fight, Benny, you my dude, but I may have to stay with Obatiah this one.
Because of the size. I know what you mean. But bro, his hand speed
different. He's different too, bro.
Bro, his hand speed though, bro. Like Benavidez's hand speed to be so big, like it ain't nobody you can compare.
Man, give me, please, if you talking about going up to Cruz to the face of Obatiah, please give us a fight before Obatiah. Get acclimated to that, because jumping from 75 right into hot grease with Obatiah, I'm just like, Benny, I fucks with you, bro, but dude, my dude, I don't know about this one.
Man, Benavidez knows to be great that he's gonna have to just jump all the way out there and fight the big dog, because every time he tries to do it the right way and get acclimated to a weight division, he just get ducked after that.
Right.
After that, they duck him.
Yeah,
right.
about that.
I hate the way they doing. They it's like he getting iced out, man. Like he really getting frozen out. I don't like it. So he is gonna have to jump off the porch like that, like, because any other way, people gonna start moving around, man.
Yeah, I hear what y'all saying. I respect it. Ooh, if you make that fight, bro, that's hard body. I gotta give you all the props in the world, man. But
he the kind of guy that, I mean, even if it don't go his way, he the kind of guy that's gonna get right back in the saddle. It's gonna be a rematch. That could be a trilogy. So he just, that's the spirit of the kind of guy. We want that spirit, because a lot of these guys ain't doing that. Like the way Morrell pursued him when Benavidez said, "I'm going up," Morrell said, "Hey, I'm going up," and he saw it. You know what I'm saying? So and Morrell right back in the, he right back in the mix. On July 12th. So I think Benavidez is the same kind of fighter.
Yeah,
where
I could see Benny losing the first one and coming back and beating him in a rematch. Give us a great fight that's rematch worthy. You feel what I'm saying? And then come back and beat him in a rematch. I'm just excited about this one. If it goes down, I'd be super pumped, super excited about it. You feel what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, great show for me, Pop. Body. Definitely great show. And D Calico, yo, good talking with you, bro. For real.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
You definitely sound like a level-headed fan, man. That's what we promote here, bro. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, man. You're welcome to get on at any point in time. We don't have to agree, but we know how to disagree and keep the dialogue going. That's the kind of environment we got here, man.
Grown man.
Yeah, like grown men. Even if you like, because AC, he a diehard Devin Haney fan. I'm a diehard Tank fan, but he one of my co-hosts like all the time, and we agree to disagree. We hash it out. We do light sparring. It's just the kind of environment that we promote here. So you're welcome at any point in time, bro.
I appreciate that.
You got anything you want to land your plane or make a point before you get off?
I was just gonna add real quick that like people act like you can't be a Devin fan and a Tank fan or a Shakur or whatever. Bro, I like all of them.
Yeah.
It's no cap. Like I really, and I ain't gonna lie, like matter of fact, that was me in the chat, bias boxing, elite only. I only like the best. I ain't gonna lie to you. You feel me? Like I'm not a casual, but I don't like, certain fighters. I just don't like them. You know what I'm saying? They're not good. You know what I mean? So
right.
The ones that are, I support every last one of them, bro. Everyone.
As it should be, bro.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all having me though.
No problem, man. Have a
great job.
You got a channel?
I ain't really, I be everywhere. I be hanging out. But I'm in the chat right now, bias boxing, elite.
Okay. All right, man. I got you, man. Enjoy your evening, man. Good having you.
Show peace.
All right, man.
Great show, Bodywork, man. On to the next one, man. For everybody, man. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. We ain't asking, my man Body ain't asking for donations. You just subscribe and like the content, bro. Leave a comment. Hate, like, subscribe, but make sure you participate. You feel what I'm saying? And on to the next one, Body.
All right, AC, man. Enjoy your evening, man.
You too, bro.
All right. Well, there you have it, man. We had another good episode in the mix, and I guess to land my plane, hey, look, like the channel, hit the subscribe button, comment, share. I'm getting ready to get it more into the community stuff where, I ask you all what more you want to hear from the channel. If you want me to speak more about certain things, I'll do that. But we not followers, we trendsetters over here. The bottom line of this show, the meat and potatoes of this show is don't be no hindsight as 2020s, man. Like it's a lot of weirdo behavior in boxing, and boxing is already a niche sport. So if you with the go along, get along gang, and you just jacking narratives and supporting the nonsense, boxing is going to dwindle. Every time we look around, boxing is becoming more like a circus. It's becoming more and more WWE. It's becoming more and more predictable. The odds of us getting 50-50 fights or high caliber, Highlander, Predator type fights is starting to fall by the wayside. The nature of the channel is silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women to remain silent. So we speak to the things. We don't tear down fighters. And again, I always say 80% of what's going on in boxing is very good. It's the 20% that everybody want to harp on. So when young brothers like Brian Norman step up, they do their thing, give him their credit regardless if you like the ops or one of his ops. When Richardson Hitchens do his thing, give him credit for doing his thing. just because you might side with the ops. When Schofield, the performance he just gave doing that to a veteran in Tevin Farmer, just give the man his props. You know what I'm saying? As the fights come and we see the results, that should kind of shape and change your mindset. And we should be looking at all their behavior. Don't be so critical about all these other guys, but then all you want to do is sing glowing praises about your guys. That's not what we do here, man. We put them all on a scale. This is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. Fact-based content, not opinion-based, even though we have ours. You know, hopefully he was able to put something in your rucksack and march on. I hope everybody have a beautiful, wonderful, productive week. And salute to everybody who came in the building. You know, it was a pleasure having you. Thanks for all the feedback. But we gotta start asking us this question, man. Are these guys overrated? You know, I outlined all the debacles that happened this year surrounding these guys and how critical they are of everybody else, but nobody want to put the microscope on them. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.